All right, without further ado, and we're so excited to talk to this guy. He's a great friend of ours. I was going to say an old friend, but people get mad when you say that. But you are an old friend of ours. Not you old, but old friend, and we've known each other coming up. It'll be 10 years next year. Aaron Bruno, AWOL Nation. What's up, my man?
Not much, you know. I mean, well, I guess a lot's going on, and I'm sure, like you, since this whole thing has happened, we've been scrambling to figure out how to connect with people. So I'm real grateful to see your face, and because hey, let's face it, you know, had this whole quarantine thing not happen, I probably wouldn't have met you face to face anyway. So there's a positive to look at, is that we're connecting in a way that maybe we wouldn't have before, and I've found that I'm able to do that with a lot of friends, family, different fans, and other musicians, and everybody. We're all in this together, and it's a nice time for humans to unite.
That was nice of you to say. We would have tracked you down though, because like I said a minute ago, we also, when we started, and I went back and watched some of our interviews from 10 years ago, we were on a stage at South by Southwest down the road from us in Austin, Texas. And I remember there was a guy that was tuning his drum behind us. Jon and I had like a little flip camera. That interview is still on YouTube. It still gets a lot of views. And then a couple of years later, we were at ACL Festival. We got to interview you side stage and then watch that amazing performance. You always give a great performance, so we're going to get into that in a minute. But it's just been fun for me to watch your journey and watch you grow as an artist. And we're going to talk about the fourth album in a minute. But I'll open with, how is your quarantine stay-at-home thing going for you? I saw the Instagram live that you've been doing, and I know that you've been active on that. But tell me what else you've been up to, just staying at home.
Well, I've done a lot of things, like many of us in the world, that I've been putting off for a long time, like picking my guitar back up and actually learning how to play my songs acoustically, for better or for worse. And it's been really fun and therapeutic, and you know, I'm just trying to find ways to stay connected, like I said, to human beings, and I'm trying to challenge myself and you know, and encourage others, if they can, you know, try to figure out how are you going to come out at the end of this improved one way or another, because we know about all the negative, we know about all the terror, you know, of this whole thing, and how scary it is, and we're faced with the unknown. We know that we're facing the unknown, and if you could figure out ways how to navigate through this thing and come out on the other end and have some improvements in your life, maybe they're just little ways to meditate, or, you know, different relationships that you improve, or maybe you finally write that, you know, that novel you always wanted to write. That's pretty ambitious. I don't know why I went with that example, but I think you know what I'm saying. Whatever it is, maybe you finally start doing this workout plan, or organize your kitchen, or figure out a way to, you know, find some sort of spirituality, whatever it is, whatever you've been thinking that you've been putting off. This has been a forced time to learn a lot about ourselves personally. And, you know, that's weirdly enough what this record is about. And I wrote it after the California Woolsey fires, which burned my studio down, and, you know, was absolutely destructive to my whole community. And so that was a kind of a rebirth for me in a lot of ways, and you know, a huge inspiration to the lyrical content of this record. And now, weirdly, having gone through that, you know, the unknown, the fear of that, having to pick up the pieces and restart, in a lot of ways has made me, not that I'm stoked to be going through this by any means, but it definitely forced me to learn and develop some tools to how to deal with something kind of like this. And for me, it's music. So I hope when people listen to this record, they could feel that. And, you know, if it's 5 people or 5 million people or somewhere in between, I'll be grateful that I finally got to release this music. And if I were to choose a time to release the music, it would have been now. I mean, even if you were to tell me there's a genie came out of a bottle and said, hey, in X amount of days, people are going to feel kind of normal again. Well, we don't know when that is, but if you were to tell me that, I would still choose to release it now, because I think it is important, and music is important. Music is the blanket we put over ourselves when we're cold. It's the pillow we rest our head on. it's the medicine. At least it has been to me, and there's got to be other people that feel the same way.
The name of the album, of course, Angel Miners and the Lightning Riders. Dude, that is a great title.
Thank you.
Tell me how did you come up with that? What inspired that name? And then I want to talk about some of the tracks, and I'm going to tell you my favorite track on your album that I've already heard. So, but tell me about the title of the album.
Okay, so the title, I wanted to create two different groups. One which represented chaos, evil, and fear, really. And so those are the Angel Miners. They're one-dimensional. They have one eye. You can see this in some of the video content we put out, and especially in the video for Slam, Angel Miners, the song. So anyways, these guys, the Angel Miners, that, when you're growing up, you're always asking your parents or people you look up to that have some sort of wisdom to share. You ask, why did that happen? Why do people die, Mom? Well, because Bambi showed us that your mom's going to pass away one day. And what a horrifying, terrifying thing, right, to realize. So you ask different people, why did bad things happen? And I kind of was asking myself that after the fire. I was going, God, and again, my house didn't burn, so I feel so grateful and so lucky. But it was heavy. It was heavy to lose so many different kind of innocent animals, whether they were birds or, mice and all these different creatures that were living around these parts. And we saw a lot of that, or all these different trees in my studio, my dream studio that I built from the ground up, and finally had that, and that burned. So coming back to that and seeing it there wasn't even I thought maybe I'd find an old cymbal that survived, or, like a piece of a drum or an amp piece, but nothing. It was just ash. It was insane to witness. So I thought it would be fun to blame that on someone, because, there's various reasons why fires start. We all know that. But so I decided to create these Angel Miners, and they're responsible for fires, earthquakes, any natural disaster that doesn't totally have an explanation for it, So that was sort of my fictitious way of blaming someone in this alternate universe. Of course, there has to be something to combat that. So I created the Lightning Riders, and their leader's name is Kapala. I know this is out there, by the way. So as I say,
I love this. I have this in my notes to ask you these questions. You're answering them. This is great. Cool.
Yeah. So the Lightning Riders combat that, and they're made of natural elements. So the Angel Miners are causing natural disasters that are devastating to all living beings. And then the Lightning Riders were created by the earth out of lightning to combat the bad guys. Basically, it's as simple as that. So that was my way of compartmentalizing what had happened, because there were moments where I was really feeling down about it, gosh, I spent my whole life trying to get to a point to have my own studio. And again, I don't want to be too complain or feel ungrateful for what I still do have, but it was a heavy thing to lose all the instruments and all that stuff. So that was my way of dealing with it, is creating this alternate universe. And then now this whole thing happened, and I'm thinking, this is so bizarre. It's almost eerie how much, these two gangs kind of feel relevant in what we're dealing with right now as a human race. So it's really bizarre situation. All
right. My favorite cut, dude, I love Mayday, Fiesta Fever.
Cool. Right on.
That song is just, that video, it's just wicked. There's also another track that I like a lot too, that kind of deals with social media, if I'm going down the right path. A song that you have on the album called The Best.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
Sure. Well, Mayday Fiesta Fever is the next single, so I'm glad that's a good sign that you like that one. And The Best, yeah, it's definitely scary to as a songwriter or lyricist, to say something like, I just want to be the best. It's hilarious, but I meant it a bit sarcastic, really. And I think you said it best. It's my observation of what I assume is probably unhealthy, with us trying to present this sort of manicured version of ourselves on social media. And I do it too. We all do it. And I have to do it with the band. And I wish I didn't, but on the positive, it's been such a cool way to connect with fans and different people. But you know, you're never going to be the best at anything, unfortunately. Just like when you find out there's no Santa Claus, it's no different now. You know, the chances of us being the actual best at something are less than 1%. But we can be the best version of ourselves, or at least aspire. And I don't even know if that's possible. We could at least try to be the best versions of ourselves. And I would hope that during this quarantine, a lot of people are developing and evolving to being better versions of themselves. I know I'm trying to. I'm not sure if I'm getting there or not. You'd have to ask my dogs and my wife, but I'm trying. You know, some days I wake up and, you know, you read a bad headline or something pretty scary and it'll set you back a little bit. But how can you deal with that? Because this won't be the last time we're dealt, you know, a bad hand, and we have, you know, there's been wars and disease since the beginning of time. So maybe this will, you know, be something that we could tell our kids and their kids and so forth and so on, you know, how we dealt with this inside, because you can only control what's in front of you. I can't control what news is going to come out tomorrow. I could be safe. I could protect my family, my loved ones, and try to stay mentally positive. And I know you were asking about the song "The Best," but I guess it feels relevant to what's going on now as well.
No, you know, I did radio for many years before I did this, so I can't believe it's already been 10 years. Like totally. When I met you in Austin, I was doing both, and now Jon Stenvall and I have, this thing is really taken off, knock on something, and now, you know, we just do television and online. But when I met you, you know, so many years ago, I was doing both. So that's always in me. Music has always been in me. Radio's, you know, deep down in me as well. I've always been a melody type of guy. So the song "The Best" is one of the first songs in a long time for me where I actually like got into the lyrics. Jon, I've always been a melody guy. The first time I heard "Sail," I didn't even know what the lyrics were. I just said, dude, that is a kick-ass melody.
Thank you.
And now you brought me back to lyrics. So you did that with "The Best."
You know, I think my wife is very good at deciphering what lyrics are being said. You know, where I'll be singing a song, she's like, I don't think that that's what they're saying. You know, I'm like, what? And this, whatever song that is, you know, that you've been singing since you were a little kid, and then you realize that you had no idea what that singer was talking about, and you were messing up the lyrics all these years, and no one corrected you. But that, you know, that's what wives are for, to correct us when we're making a fool of ourselves, I suppose.
So going back to when you and I first met, and again, I'm going to go down that path of memories.
Sure.
You certainly have grown as an artist,
Thank you.
and you're one of the few that I've known that long that I can ask this question. How have you grown personally, you think, since those early days when we were sitting on a stage with a guy testing his drums? Now, I mean, you've done great things. I've been lucky enough to be on stage watching you perform. We're going to get into that in a minute. But you, fourth album, how have you grown personally?
Well, thank you for saying those kind things. It's hard to say. In some ways, I haven't changed at all, and I think in other ways, I've hopefully trimmed the fat that is you know, unnecessary to live with. I don't mean literally. I mean, you know, like, I'm sure a lot of relationships as time has gone on have come and gone, you know, in some ways. And I'd like to think that I'm able to deal with, I've learned that, you know, you don't have much control of what songs people are going to like. You know, there's some songs that I'm hoping that the whole world loves so much. Right. And then you're disappointed when they don't. And there's some songs that are surprisingly accepted. And I feel like the only thing that I, like, off the top of my head that I've realized is that, well, two things. You could always write another song, for starters. And that is such in life. You can always try something new or try to make an adjustment on the path that you're on. And there's really no end goal on that path, I don't think. But so I've gotten better at trying to meditate on being able to handle whatever comes my way. Like this virus. No one predicted this, right? And so now it's here and it's out of our control. We had all these ambitious plans to go out on tour and take on the world and all those things. So that's halted right now. So I think because of things like The Fire, because of some of the ups and downs in my career, with each record or each song, I've been able to handle disappointment better, probably. When I first met you, everything was so new that it was just like, it was like just constantly feeling like you were on drugs, and like you were high on something that, I'd never experienced success like that. So it was a wave of new. Everything was new. Playing in front of that many people was new. Talking to people like you who cared, that was new. Having people sing along, that was new. And then weirdly getting used to that and accepting that as a reality was difficult for me, I think. And maybe with that came excessive drinking, at the time, and other stuff. And I feel like I'm really lucky that I survived that sort of, the pitfalls and traps of musical success. Cause it's no wonder that so many people have substance abuse problems, because, when you go on stage, there's nothing like that high. So when you come off the stage, you're chasing that a little bit, and that's why people get pretty wasted. And I've done it, and I've also lived not doing that, and it's come full circle to me being able to enjoy the music and the experience with a clear head, and that in itself feels like a new high in some ways. So not to get like into an AA session here, that's not what my intention was. But I guess dealing with disappointment, to answer your question full circle, would probably be the best improvement for me. And I mean, when I look back to 10 years ago, I feel like I was a little kid, and I'm sure you feel the same way. So hopefully I've gotten better at writing songs too and recording.
This album is amazing. I want to talk about the performances. You don't do concerts, dude. You do events. Again, I was going through the footage last night. Yeah, and Jon and I had both been lucky enough to watch you from side stage. It's an incredible thing to see.
Thank you.
I know, and I don't want to bring the room down, but I know that you can't wait to get out there. You probably miss it. I know you told me so many years ago as well that it is a rush to go out and see people respond to your music. Is it something? I mean, I think I know the answer, but you definitely are looking forward to that again, aren't you?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I'm pretty lucky that I didn't have a tour that was supposed to be already on its way now, or when the quarantine first started. That would have been crazy to have to go home after all that and deal with all the fear and panic and stuff. So I do feel really lucky that the timing was such that, well, two things. One, I feel so lucky that the record gets to come out tomorrow. So that's incredible. And then I also feel incredibly lucky with the timing that we weren't even going to start touring for another month from now ish, something like that. So delaying it or having to reschedule it isn't the end of the world to me, because I know we'll play another show. And I feel like this maybe this gives us all a little bit more time to reflect on how to, one, experience the shows better, and two, how I could be better at delivering these shows as a frontman. And I promise by the time that it's safe for us to go on tour again, we'll definitely be ready and very prepared, and probably much more prepared than we would have been if it was just in a month. So that's a positive way to look at it. But of course, yeah, like I think about it, I've been listening to some of the recordings of us. I record our rehearsals when we're getting ready for a tour, because I want to see who's playing great and who's sucking, and sometimes that's me. But you learn from that. So that's the great thing about having a studio, is you can actually analyze yourself. It's like in sports when they watch game tape and try to learn what they did wrong. Having said that, man, these songs were starting to sound pretty awesome live. But then of course, we were quarantined, so we can't get together. But it was off to a good start, and I can't wait to pick up the pieces.
You have some great collaborations on this album, which is something you've done actually on the last two albums. Bringing in more people to the music. Rivers Cuomo is on from Weezer is on a track called Pacific Coast Highway. That's cool, man. That's just cool.
Yeah, I love Rivers so much, so it was just a dream come true. And I love Weezer. The Blue Album and Pinkerton were game changers for me growing up, and So to have my little Weezer moment on this record is definitely one of the highlights for me and my career, to be honest.
And bringing in Alex Ebert as well on my favorite song, Mayday, just genius, man. That's really cool. Did you have that in mind when you were writing these things, or did it just kind of come to life as far as the collaborations go?
For Alex, I don't think I had that in mind. I just knew that there was this part that there was a hole in the song where I even liked it instrumentally in that part, but you know, it seemed like it was a good opportunity to have someone else, because I had already said so much and sang so much on the song up to that point. I'm like, man, this is a good opportunity to have a fresh voice come in. And, you know, Alex being hugely influential even today to the current state of music with first I'm a Robot, a band I loved, and then Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros. You still hear songs today that sound like they were heavily influenced from, you know, his breakout single of the song called Home, and that whole first Edward Sharpe record. And that was a moment in music. And I feel lucky to know him. And I feel lucky that I had my own little moment in a parallel way to where he was at. And, you know, with my first record and how influential that was to other artists as well. So it's nice that we could join forces on that, on this song. And I knew he'd throw down. And to me, his verse reminds me of what I loved about I'm a Robot in the earlier days. And it kind of goes full circle and brings the party back.
One question that I have never asked you, and it was the first one that I put in my notes, and I'm going to ask you now. Who inspired you?
I think all music growing up, everything I heard, you know, was just a sponge of music. I loved it. And it didn't seem possible. It didn't seem possible to ever do anything like this. It just seemed like something I loved very much. And, you know, in the 80s, when I grew up, and even the 90s, the musicians were so good that it seemed like a pretty enormous mountain to climb to get to be able to do anything like that. But you know, Nirvana was it for me. Kurt Cobain, his lyrics, his writing, the simplicity of some of his songs, the nursery rhyme nature of his melody. And, you know, if there was one person, it'd be him for sure.
And in your Instagram live earlier, you said that you were a drummer in Nirvana. I heard you say that.
Yeah.
We're going to close with this. And I don't know if you get a chance to, see, I follow you. I don't know if you get a chance to read a lot of the fan comments, but I was going through some of your fan comments, and I saw one in particular. I don't want to make you cry, but it kind of made me feel right here. But this fan wrote, and it's funny if they'll watch this video, see it online, like, oh, well, that's my comment. This person wrote, "Can't wait to bounce in person, ... Everyone wash your hands." That just stood out to me. Because when I said your concerts are events, I have the visual now of seeing you in Austin and other places. When that person said, "I can't wait to bounce in person," again, that kind of made me go, me too. So.
Yeah, definitely. I also have to I have to look back on, like, you know, when I met you, right? And then all this time that's passed and everything I've seen and all the people I've met, from fans to other artists and journalists, and relationships I've made, and think of this unusual net that AWOLNATION has cast, right? And feel very grateful. So if I could never play a show again, I would be able to at least live in the memory of a lot of these great moments we've had. So anything at this point is just a bonus to me, really. And I think that's a healthy way for me to look at it. I'm not saying that that's the case, or that there's not going to be shows. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm just saying it's helpful for me to, because people keep asking me, like, can you imagine what it'll be like when you get to play a show again? I'm not there yet, because that would just lead to unrealistic expectations and possibly disappointment, you know, if everything keeps getting, you know, delayed longer and longer because of this whole deal. So I'm just trying to use this time, and I think it's really healthy for me to appreciate the different shows I've had, because I haven't done that in a while, where I just stopped and said, wait, hold on, and look back and gone, wow, that's pretty cool. Think about all these different people that I met along the way. And so that's kind of where my mindset's at right now.
You are one of our good luck charms, because honestly, we were putting out interview requests. We didn't have anything going on.
Yeah.
You were one of the first, and your people were one of the first that granted us an interview. And it's always a treat for Jon and I to catch up with you. We can't make it be, it cannot be another 8, 9 years till we see each other again, because we absolutely love you, Aaron. And
Thank you.
there will be shows, and we will be right there standing next to you at those
Well,
shows.
let's make sure we have a long hug and have some drinks or something like that, you know, when we get to see each other next.
Well, we had drinks in Austin.
I'm sure. I know, but I'm saying in the future.
Oh yeah, no, I'm saying yeah, we'll do it again.
Because the thing is, like, you know, my tolerance is so much lower now that I don't like drinking. Is like, it's a skill to be able to drink a certain amount, and I lost that a long time ago. So I'm like a one drink feeling pretty buzzed kind of thing. When we first met, I was probably needed to go like 5 deep to feel anything, and now I'm back to being like, you know, freshman. You know what I mean? Again, like, so you have to show me the Texas way to drink again. You know.
We're all there with you, my friend. Congratulations on the brand new album. So excited for the world to listen to it. The videos are fantastic. Now I get the one-eyed monster. I was like, should I know this already? Now I get it. You explain that. So thanks again, my friend. You take care.
Thanks.
Be safe, okay?
All right.